Hi, I'm Birgit O'Connor, and today I'd like to show you how to do a simple painting of moving water. I'll be using a quarter sheet of Fabriano 300-pound cold-pressed paper. Of course you can use other brands, but I found I liked the Fabriano best for this particular style. I'm taping off the area that I want to work within and leaving excess paper along the right and the bottom in case I want to test my colors. To help give the impression of spray coming up as the water's moving over the rocks, I'm using a little PBO masking fluid with a toothbrush and lightly spraying it onto the paper. You don't need a lot, you only want to give the suggestion of spray. Then once it's applied, you need to let it completely dry before you paint. Most of the demonstration is going to be done with a number 20 wash modeler. You could also try a 1-inch flat. I'll mix a combination of French ultramarine blue with a little burnt sienna, leaning it more towards the brown side. Test the color on my paper. Then I'll create some shapes of rocks on the river's edge. Working with a flat brush really is a lot of fun, and especially on this paper. I don't need a lot of detail. I just want to create shapes and give the impression of where the rock should go. I'm going to keep the brushstroke loose and let it flow easily with my hand. I really like to use the Winsor & Newton French ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. It makes a beautiful blue-gray combination. It has a tendency to separate and give the impression of granulation. I'm using the wet-on-dry technique, meaning wet brush strokes on dry paper. You can see how much water I'm using. I want my brush strokes to be transparent, and since this is such a loose painting, it's all right if it pools a little. I'm randomly applying my brush strokes here and there, but I want to leave enough white space where the water's going to be. If there are any edges that I think need to be softened, I can either use a brush or a little fingertip spray bottle. The other nice thing about using the spray bottle is that it can help add texture into the drying color of the rocks. Going back to my palette, I'm going to get a little more color and try to lean it more towards the blue. Then change my stroke so it's a little more narrow. Then with my number 8 round sable synthetic blend, I'll shape the color a little. The nice thing about the round versus the flat is that it gives it a little bit more of an organic look. Then to have some fun and break up the white of the water, I'll spatter some color. And to soften some edges and to add texture, I'll use my spray bottle. And just like any other watercolor, when it dries, it's much lighter. So to create contrast and pull out those rocks in the background, I'm going to add a darker color. It's basically the same color combination, only less water. Using the same idea of shapes in the background, I'm going to let that contrast work for me. I'll paint around my lighter rocks and just create some shapes. Again, notice how much water I'm using by how it pools. Then I'll bring some of that background shadow color down into the rocks. Then to help give the water more volume, I'll go back in and add just a few more strokes. And I'll let this dry for just a moment. And again, since the color's drying so light, I'll need to go back in with a darker value. To help prevent the painting from being flat, I need that contrast. So basically, I'm just doing what I've already done, but with darker values. And to help give that water more shape, I'm going to add just a few more strokes here too. To make the water just a little more interesting so it doesn't look just all the same color, I'm going to take a little Indian yellow and mix it into a little Windsor blue. Then make sure that you test your color so you can see if that's the right color that you want to use. Then go ahead and place it here and there just to add a little color to the water. But try not to get rid of all the white of the paper, because that's where the action is. Notice how I hold my brush and the application that I'm using. I twist and turn and swipe. Then I'll add a little more of the green color out into the background so it makes it a little more interesting and leads the eye into the distance. Then to reveal the whitewater spray, all I have to do is rub off the masking. Then I'll need to tone down some of that spray so it looks like it's part of the painting instead of laying right on top of it. So I'll go back in using my flat brush and just touch up the color here and there. This will help tone down the spray a little and push it back. Then before you overdo it, take another look at it, and if you think you're ready, remove the tape around the painting so you can see the clean lines. And reveal the wonderful little painting that you have that is very simple to do. Until next time, happy painting!